As we mentioned, it will be Lewis Hall on pole position with Stanley Clark sharing the front row. Row number 2, Jensen White and Isabella Stansmore-Wilson with Amy Peacock and James Fabricius on row 3. Row 4 will see Alex Lynn alongside Freddie Lyons. The top 10 completed by Harry Samuel and George Ralston with Drew Davidson and James Winstanley on row number 6. 7 will see Max Housego alongside Mason Webster. Ralphie Branscombe will start 15th alongside the second of our Housegos, Freddie, in 16th with Sam Howell and Max Lewis on row 9. 19th, Rio Wardali and Alfie Forrester in 20th with Tom Percock and Harris Roberts, your current championship leader, starting on the outside of row 11. Max Wheatley and Joshua Owen share row number 12 with Larry Price, Ethan Charles, Ayrton Rye and Scarlett Percox, your 28 runners in your Honda Cadet Heat number 1. Now we'll see some of these drivers again in Heat 2. Some of them we won't because they'll be changed over with a few other drivers, so they'll be taking part, as I say, in 3 of your 4 heats. Practice has gone well this morning for most of our drivers. They get a 3-lap warm-up this morning just to make sure everything and any changes overnight have been implemented nicely. The conditions, like I say, we have had 1 or 2 spots of rain here in North Wales. Looks like we have a space there on the grid. Not sure who that is for. Let's have a quick scan around. Not sure if I've seen Isabella Stansmore-Wilson this morning, and there she is running up, and the cart is coming with it as well. So as we just make sure everybody is in position and getting into there. Isabella Stansmore-Wilson making the late run up to the grid. We are due for her start in around about 2 or 3 minutes time here at Glenugors. Thank you very much for joining us on the Alpha Live YouTube channel. Please do get in touch with us in the live chat comments, and we'll endeavour throughout the day to read them out. Let us know who you're supporting. Let us know where you're watching from. More importantly as well, give us a like and a subscribe. Once you press the subscribe button, then you're able to comment in the live chat as well, and we can keep in touch throughout the day here, and then you'll be able to let us know who you're rooting for. Let us know if you've enjoyed any of the races, as well as the drivers here in the Cadet and Junior Kart Championship put on a show for you here in the north of Wales. The camera shot we're coming to, this is the top of the track, this is Spoon. You come into this corner almost blind for most of our drivers, unless you're really, really tall and you can see over the crest. Most of them, though, will be coming in there blind and then hard on the brakes for the tight right. Looks like we've had a bit of an excursion across the grass for one of the Housegos. Things that could be Max, but we'll confirm the numbers when they come round. So helpers making their way down onto the grid at the moment, having a few people joining us already, with Nathan Ethan getting in touch saying come on Freddie Lyons, Joe Hewitt as well saying good luck. That's to Jaden Hewitt, one of the few drivers that makes it over from the Isle of Man, comes over for every round. So our drivers then making their way down the hill into the final corner at Paddock, and then they'll get themselves into position for the first race of the day here at Glenugors. We'll start with our Honda Cadets before I think we move on to our Junior Rotax. So I'm going to just run you through the first few races of the morning. Then we'll start with Honda Cadet, then we go Junior Pro Kart, Mini Max, Micro Max and Junior Rotax before we then go back to Hondas. It won't be a straight cycle through because we have one more race for our Hondas in terms of heats. Then we've got to squeeze their B final in as well. As you can see here at GYG, it's a really, really short start-finish straight, which means that when we get more than around about 20 drivers, we are backing them up round the final corner. Shades of the old Silverstone when they were gridded up further back on the old start-finish straight all the way around Woodcote Corner. So our drivers, if you're down there towards the tail, you're going to have to either position your car at a slight angle, which it looks like we've got one in that sort of position. Really interesting as well to see off the front row here, Stanley Clark, that car aggressively pointed towards the apex of that first corner. With it being such a short start finish straight here at GYG, the inside is really, really helpful. If you've got yourself an inside berth, you've got to get over, because then if you're on the outside, you're going to be all the way on the outside, all the way up the Dragon Straight towards Spoon at the top of the hill. Waiting for 1 or 2. I think we've got out our race director at the back, Rory, just getting the final driver, Ayrton Wright, into position here at GYG. But looking up at the overhead gantry then, and the first race of round 5 is underway. It's a good start from the outside by Stanley Clark, but he's going to have to get across and slot in behind Lewis Hall for second place. Our pole sitter then leading the way as they make their way up the hill for the first time in this 8-minute plus 1 lap race. Everybody, certainly on the first lap, trying to migrate towards the inside, as though now Clark tries to run all the way around the outside of Spoon, and then they head down the hill. And it is a down the hill section here at GYG towards the carousel. It looks like a long looping left-hander. It's not, it's a left. It straightens ever so slightly. You are going to run all the way around the outside, but if you can dive down the inside there as we head back up the hill then here into the right, as Alex Lynn gets to the inside of Amy Peacock as they head now down the hill. This left-hander compression before going into the Devil's Elbow, which is a double apex right that drops away. The cart going light over the crest of the hill before they head down into the final right-hand corner. It's a very, very difficult corner to get right, is the one at Paddock. As they come over the line for the first time. Stanley Clark lost 2 places to Jensen White and James Fabricius. Those drivers on the inside and then making their way all the way up. Fabricius, one of the front runners in this championship, goes into round number 5 in second place and will be looking to take full advantage in this first one because his nearest championship competitor, Harris Roberts, who's won all 4 of the finals so far this season, this is his back 3rd start, so he'll be trying to look to maximise his early point in this one, heading towards the final. We add all the points together before then they're sorted out for your starting positions for the finals. Here's some of our drivers watching from the field at the top of the camping area of the paddock. Lewis Hall then from pole position, continuing to lead this final, but gets a little bit of snap oversteering. Fabricius tries to get alongside Jensen White on the inside, and if it has rained ever so slightly, we know White's going to take full advantage of that. A driver that goes incredibly well in the wet, dry, slippy conditions. So if the track conditions or anything, and Fabricius tags the back and spins round. It looks like we've had Amy Peacock as well, and Isabella Stansmore-Wilson all facing the wrong way. I'm sure that was Peacock going. I saw black and red going towards the outside. So the top 10 have really been mixed up there. I'm not quite sure what happened, whether Fabricius caught the back of Jensen White or whether he was just got light over the crest of the hill, tapped the brakes and spun. But nobody from the top 3 has been affected by that now, as that's put Stanley Clark back up into 3rd place. Hall, White and Stanley Clark then will be the top 3. You're going to see the top left corner change round like a fruit machine as everybody sorts themselves out. So now it's Lynn up into 4th place with Ralston, Samuel Branscombe. Mason Webster, who won our cadet driver of the day at Lyd a month ago, is up into 8th place with Drew Davidson debuting here in the Cadet Kart Championship in 9th place. Sam Howell is in 10th. So the top 3 have managed to break away then, as George Ralston is backing the rest of the pack up as they're side by side down the hill into that double apex left-hander at Carousel. And back up the hill they come then. And then this downhill section, for most of it, it looks like it's single file, but your drivers at the back, they'll be trying to come through from this mixed grid format to really try and take advantage down this section. You see there, it's a off camber, drops away, the carts go really, really light, but then you have to get yourself set up, because if you get this final corner wrong now, which I think that was Harry Samuel going slightly sideways, that's going to cause you issues all the way up this hill as you try and drag your way up the top of the hill. Looks like we've had a few change rounds as Webster is down to 9th, as is Davidson. They've dropped down ever so slightly with Harry Samuel and Sam Howell in 7th and 8th respectively. So the top 7 or 8 starting to spread themselves out, with Branscombe there trying to get past Ralston, with Lynn as well. Looks like Branscombe has got past Alex Lynn. He has. You can see there in the background the gold and black coloured cart coming through now in 5th place, with Lynn in the white and blue down into 6th. The leading trio though still nose to tail, with Jensen White holding off Stanley Clark, both of them still behind our pole sitter Lewis Hall. As we approach half race distance in this 8-minute plus 1 lap opening heat of the day, it's Hall, White and Clark leading as the top 3 off nose to tail, and Hall to the inside as Jensen White tries to sweep all the way round the outside there into the Spoon corner. That's White in the 58, and he's going to try and get a good run down the hill here towards the Carousel. Looked like he got a good exit out of Spoon. He's going to head down the hill then. There we go. There, down the inside goes Jensen White. Hall's going to try and stick this one out all the way around the outside. That's going to put him on the inside, and Stanley Clark will take advantage and come through. And the top 3 in doing this battle have backed themselves into George Ralston and Ralphie Branscombe. We've now got a 5-cart battle for the lead, with Alex Lynn not too far back. He's going to try and drag Harry Samuel and Sam Howell into this battle. So as they all got side by side, look over the shoulder there from Stanley Clark now, he's up into second place. There's going to be some lap traffic in front of them. They're going to try and get alongside up this long drag up the hill. In this Honda Cadet class, they're approaching 60 miles an hour as they head up to the hill, and this time Stanley Clark gets down the inside and Jensen White comes through as well. Ralston's going to try and sweep round the outside of Lewis Hall. So Lewis Hall, who's valiantly held on to the lead for the opening 5.5 minutes of this race, will drop down into third place. Ralston's going to try and go round the outside. That's going to allow Branscombe potentially to come down the inside. He's going to slot back into the positions as they were. So as they come through the carousel section, there's some lap traffic in the middle of that. They make their way through nice and cleanly. Great awareness by the 34 of Scarlett Percox as the riders bounce their way over the curve with 2 minutes remaining. And there, Harris Roberts, your championship leader from the final third of this grid, has made his way up inside the top 10 in 9th place. So not too far off. I think he might run out of time to challenge this battle for the lead as Ralphie Branscombe goes down the inside of George Ralston and slides through down the inside into the right-hander, and then the cutback left at Spoon. There's more lap traffic in front of them as they approach the 95 of James Winstanley, I think, in front of them. 1.5 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap as Stanley Clark, who's driver in a rich vein of form at the moment, having taken victories at the Hooton Park Club meeting 2 weeks ago, was showing good in practice last weekend up in the northeast before issues with his ribs, something that he aggravated, has meant that he could take no part during the race day, but he's leading the way so far in this Honda Cadet opening heat of the day as Jensen White tries to get round the outside. He's going to try and use the lap traffic in front to his advantage, as I'm sure will the rest of the pack behind them. The top 5 still nose to tail, with all the way back then to Ralston in 5th place. There he is in the blue and the green cart in the background. So the top 5 nose to tail with Stanley Clark and Jensen White, the 2 BSR drivers, leading the way. And they have actually opened up a gap of a few tenths of a second back to Lewis Hall, who led this race and then defended incredibly well against Clark and Jensen White. A few laps to go until White tried to go down the inside. It opened the door for Stanley Clark to move through into second place, and the following lap he was through into lead, and it dragged Jensen White through as well. Winstanley there in the 95 has a quick look over his shoulder. He'll be aware that the leaders are coming through. This will be the penultimate lap then. They're not going to get round in enough time, as the time at the top of the screen elapses then down to 0 in a few moments time, and they'll head towards the final lap here at GYG for the opening race of the day, with Stanley Clark and Jensen White so far moving away at the head of this pack. The gap now half a second, but they've got to negotiate this traffic, and they've got to negotiate it cleanly to try and break the gap as the rest of the carts come through. It's very much single file down here unless you can find a move down the inside, and that way you are going to come through and take full advantage. Clark then leads them over the line as the last lap board is out here at GYG. The gap has gone out to well over a second between himself and the chasing pack behind. Roberts, the championship leader, up to 7th. Fabricius has recovered back to 13th place. Can Roberts do anything on this final lap? I think he's going to put a move on Sam Howell at this top end of the track. There he is in the background, trying to come through in the number 45, your current championship leader. Looks like Branscombe's managed to get through in the lap traffic on Lewis Hall as well, but Stanley Clark leading the way so far in this one. He's just got to navigate the downhill bit, round the right-hander at the top of the hill, and then into the left here. This one's compression as the carts tighten up, then into the Devil's Elbow and heading down the hill. Can White do anything into the final corner? There's a spinner in the middle that's going to slow everybody down. The yellow flags are going to come out there, so no overtaking, and Stanley Clark wins the first race of the day from Jensen White and Ralphie Branscombe, with Hall, Ralston. Roberts comes up into 6th place with Howell, Price, Charles, Lynn, your top 10 here in the first Honda Cadet race of the day.